This is Scotty Reed with a Black Talk Radio News Report. Ferguson comes to Hong Kong. That is the subject matter that I will be discussing in this video. As you can see, I'm on YouTube looking at a CNN report that says that a CNN crew was gassed during Hong Kong protests. We will listen to that and just pay particular attention to what the reporter says.
You can see the demonstrators now flashing with riot police and disperse. They have continued with the tactics of civil disobedience, trying to stand in the way. Riot police aren't using force, yet they are vastly outnumbered. Look at this. Situation as the demonstrators have blocked off. I estimate tens of thousands of them have blocked off the central artery through Hong Kong as part of these pro-democracy protests. And they're bleeding on their hands and knees. And you can see the riot police trying not to use force on the demonstrators. Protest against new election regulations, and as their leaders were arrested in the dozens by police on Friday, this protest will soon now, with tear gas now breaking the truce here. We're now going to be enveloped in tear gas.
All right, so that's the end of that report. I think it's kind of misleading to say that this CNN crew was gassed during these protests that they were covering in Hong Kong. I don't know all the details of what's going on in Hong Kong right now because I've been particularly paying attention to what's going on right here in America. But, the police did show a lot of restraint. We didn't see any snipers on roofs or armored personnel vehicles with snipers training their rifles, which, actually, if a civilian points a rifle at another civilian, that person could be charged with assault. Even assault with a deadly weapon, depending upon how the prosecutor wants to trump up charges. But we didn't see any of that in this particular video. But it reminded me of what we saw go down in Ferguson, where those protests are still ongoing as killer cop Darren Wilson is in hiding. A grand jury has not indicted him. The prosecutor has not even filed charges, which is, according to the spokesperson for the St. Louis prosecutor's office, said, that's unusual to go to a grand jury seeking an indictment and you haven't even charged anyone. But I digress. Let's go back and look at some other videos of how film crews were treated in Ferguson, where we saw the police actually fire on the no, it wasn't CNN, but it was Al Jazeera America crew, and took down their cameras. And so this is Hong Kong, China, and those police, show far more restraint than what the police in Ferguson showed. So let's take a look.
Oh! See, they're media too.
Stand right at the street corner, he will follow you out.
We're okay here.
We don't want you here.
So there you go. There you even saw Ferguson, could have been a St. Louis police officer, because all the surrounding police departments descended on Ferguson to deny the people of Ferguson their First Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution, as well as the Missouri Constitution, which says that they could protest day or night, however they choose to protest. And these were not violent protests. It is the police that provoked the violence. And, you know, if any violence was done, it was done by the police, starting with Darren Wilson executing an unarmed Michael Brown in the street. Now, this isn't the only thing that happened as far as anti-democracy actions by police in America in Ferguson, Missouri. Reporters were also arrested, as you can see from this CNN report.
Well, you know, you're going to get it from both sides. And Joe Scarborough, one of our friends over at MSNBC, this morning he had said, and I'm sure you guys have heard it, and I want to get you guys to respond to it. He said that you guys should have listened to the police and you should have just moved on. Was that a possibility?
Well, I would invite Joe Scarborough to come down to Ferguson and get out of 30 Rock, where he's sitting, you know, sipping his Starbucks smugly. I invite him to come down here and talk to the residents of Ferguson, where I've been Monday afternoon, having tear gas shot at me, having rubber bullets shot at me, having mothers and daughters crying, having a 19-year-old boy crying as he had to run and pull his 21-year-old sister out from a cloud of tear gas, thinking he was going to die. I would invite Joe Scarborough down here and to do some reporting on the ground, and then maybe we can have an educated conversation about what's happening here. Because frankly, as a reporter who's been on the ground, and I'm certainly not perfect, and it's not to say it wouldn't maybe change little pieces of what I've done, but let me be clear about this. I have little patience for talking heads. This is too important. This is a community. It's a community in the United States of America where things are on fire. Things are on fire. This is on edge. There's so much happening here, and instead of putting more reporters on the ground, we have people like Joe Scarborough who are running their mouths and have no idea what they're talking about.
And on that.
All right, and so that was a Washington Post reporter telling you he had been fired upon with rubber bullets. Of course, they were in a local McDonald's in Ferguson, charging up their cell phones and laptops and filing their reports, where the police just come in and clear everyone out. All right. Again, you know, it is just shameful that we can look at what's going on in Hong Kong, China, a communist country, and the police show way more restraint than what these Ferguson cops have shown. And not just Ferguson cops, but all of those cops, different departments. So CNN was not directly fired upon in Hong Kong. They just got caught in the gas, but it wasn't fired directly at them. As we saw, the Al Jazeera America reporters were fired on directly with tear gas, and then their equipment confiscated by police.